Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hello. Welcome to a sunny, beautiful February Monday. The 22nd, in fact, of February. And we're going to spend about an hour here babbling. And feel free to join me in that effort. I read, I think, things over the weekend that so clarified everything for me that I feel like, okay, I got it now. And I am going to give all of that wisdom to you. Now, granted, most of it I'm ripping off from various columns in the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, the this, the that. But, oh, man, here's the thing. Wall Street Journal. I never thought I'd see this on their opinion page. I, as you know, rarely look at their opinion page because it's sort of like, Lot's wife. I'm always afraid I'll turn into a pillar of salt. But here it is. They have a big, huge thing on Donald Trump. That's the first editorial. And I'm only going to read you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 words. He's now the clear favorite for the GOP nomination. Wall Street Journal. I mean, they're not talking about people like him or people don't. They're saying, no, the way this is shaping up, he's now the clear favorite to actually capture that nomination. So something that we were all laughing about just 5 months ago, 4 months ago, 3 months ago, whatever, 2 months ago, we've been in, and this guy could do it. Here's the other thing I figured out. Bernie Sanders can't. You're not going to see the same upheaval or overthrow of the establishment in the Democratic Party because the Democratic Party is not very democratic. Because after, and I'm sure you know about this, but few people have asked me about it, and I was not schooled, didn't remember what those superdelegates were about. But now that I've been reminded, he doesn't have a chance. He doesn't have a chance. The deck is stacked. The deck is totally stacked. What happened is the Democratic Party was so traumatized in 1972 when their nominee, George McGovern, went down to just ignominious defeat, much like Goldwater did to the Republicans. And the party leadership got together and said, we cannot ever let this happen again. We cannot let the members of our party, unschooled idiots that they are, ever have the last word in who our nominee will be. So we're going to rejigger the way we have delegates, the way we parse out delegates. And in fact, we're going to have something called superdelegates. And those are us. Those are the establishment, the senators, the congressmen, the mayors, perhaps, important figures in the party will be superdelegates. And as superdelegates, they don't have to listen at all to what the voters say, the Democratic voters. So if the Democratic voters in a state were to overwhelmingly give their votes to Bernie Sanders, the superdelegates can say, yeah, we've been down that road before. His name was McGovern, and we ain't going to let you guys do that. So I know that's what you want us to do, but we're voting for Hillary. You have to assume that Hillary already has almost all of them She leads now in the delegate count, although I've seen different leads, but she's got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of delegates by virtue of being the establishment candidate. And nothing you, the measly primary voter, do is going to make a damn bit of difference. And Bernie is not going to do well in the South. This ain't gonna be. But Trump. Wow. So, I thought the most fascinating thing I read over the weekend was by a guy who he makes me, I don't know, very upset. Ross Douthat, and I think that's how it's pronounced. It's either that or do that. Do that. Ross do that. Douthat? He's their new conservative columnist at the New York Times. And he wrote a piece which he pretty much ripped off from some Washington Post reporter, which he admits. But in that piece, he talks about the last thing that happened to Trump, that people still were saying, oh, that's it. He's done now. And that was the dust-up with Pope Francis. Not only did the dust-up with Pope Francis not hurt Trump, by some indications, it helped him with evangelicals in South Carolina. But Douthat points out that if you look at these two, Donald Trump, Pope Francis, both men really with high profiles, both known and both sort of huge in their, or as Donald would say, huge in their ways. But of course, one is a celibate man of God, and the other is a lecherous reality star. But Douthat goes on to say, but the similarities between these two men are fascinating. And when I read that line, I thought, what? Similarities between my favorite pope and Donald Trump? Listen. It is because they are both populists. Populists of different stripes, but nonetheless populists. Both have as part of their persona that they are outsiders and that they shake things up. So you have the Pope coming in and telling the creaky, ossified, corrupt Vatican hierarchy, hey, there's a new sheriff in town. I'm going to clean up here. And Trump, of course, saying the same thing about the corruption of the government and even the establishment party. So, okay. Then this guy goes on to say that given the fact that they're both outsiders, both taking on the establishment, and he says, and they both have somewhat the same style. What? In that they both say things that people suck their breath in. And stop and think of it. when the Pope first started talking, before we knew him very well, he would say things and we'd go, did you hear what he just said? He just said he cannot judge a homosexual. He just said this. He just said that. And they both do a lot of name calling. And I thought, oh, come on. The Pope doesn't engage in name calling. Oh, yes, he does. Trump calls people, losers and liars. And here's some of what Pope Francis has called people. He's fond of calling people Pharisees. And then there's this, which I'll be damned if I know what it is. Some of you are smarter than me on this stuff, so you will know. The Pope has also called somebody a self-absorbed Promethean Neo-Pelagian. Or Pelagian. What the hell is that? But it's not nice. And, in fact, the Pope has had sort of less lofty language. He has also called people whiners, and he's called them sourpusses. I love that. And you recall how he called out, the capitalists many times, too. So both are guys with strong personalities and strong verbiage. And they both seem to know that by saying things like that is the best way in this day and age to get people's attention. So in other words, this guy's saying, okay, they're both populists, they're both anti-establishment, they're both making a lot of people nervous. They both, talk in sort of unbridled language. I mean, obviously for the Pope, that bar is a little bit higher, but they do. And because in the world this is a populist moment, because in this world, people all over the world are seeing what global capitalism and the corrupt governments that serve it does to them and their lives and their families. This is a populist moment all over the place. It's not just in the United States. And so this guy goes on to say, now Trump is a populist who is a nationalist. That's what he is, which gets us frighteningly close to, if you ask me, fascism. But he is a nationalist who is speaking on behalf, and these are his voters, of the unhappy Western working class, right? While Francis is a Latin American and a globalist speaking for the world's poor. And that's why this issue of immigration, which is where the dust-up happened, takes these two populists and puts them in opposing camps. But this guy goes on to say, but nonetheless, even with that little dust-up, the Pope and Donald Trump share a common enemy. And that is the people who control everything. The ruling class of this global economy. The Pope, man, he has said, I wish I had some of the things he has said about them, because they're the kind of things where, as I said before, you say, geez, did he say that? Woo! He sounds like a communist. Now, they're coming after these people from different places, but they both share that enemy. The people who run things. for their own benefit and who are leaving a lot of hardworking, good people crushed in their wake. So, Donald Trump, Pope Francis, in strange ways, their charisma, their power, the reason people are tuned into them, stem in part from the same kind of thing. Both are raising their middle fingers to the people who have been running things. And both are speaking in pretty unvarnished language about that corruption of the powerful. Now, this Douthit thinks that this is, horrific. He obviously is no fan of the popes, nor is he a fan of Trump. And he says, and this is always populism's peril, that it relies too much on the power of charisma and tears down too much in the quest to make things over. Make the church over, make America over. But what ultimately happens often is they make a mess. Caller, hi.
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 This is how stupid the Republican Party is. Now, you're saying that Jeb Bush dropped out.
Yeah.
So that 8 points that he had, or whatever, I don't know what number it was, goes to Rubio.
Yeah.
And it ties him up with almost Trump. Now, they're taking that same, that poll for all the people in South Carolina, and they're acting like every state after that's going to be the same numbers. It's the dumbest thing I heard. I mean, some of those states, he's in the 40s. So
exactly. It's the media.
They're in such a denial.
Right.
There's no way after South Carolina they can stop him. I don't see how.
Oh no, they still can. They got a slight window here, but it's closing fast.
But they got to get rid of Cruz, and he's not going out.
I don't think Cruz will. Yeah.
It's going to be more states added on. So they're not going to do it.
Well, you can see they're trying. They're trying. The Republican establishment now is definitely backing Rubio. They hate Cruz. And Jeb, of course, being the good boy he is, did the right thing and got out so that they're not splitting the vote his part of the vote anymore. Kasich will be under incredible pressure now to go away. And, Carson, nobody's even paying any attention to anymore. So, I don't know. I mean, I can't do the math. And, the Republicans don't have these super delegates. And what they do have increasingly in the primaries that are coming up is you have to have at least 20% of the vote to get any delegates at all. Now, as far as I know, I don't think Cruz or Rubio have ever had 20% of the vote in any of the primaries thus far. And some of them, like Ohio, Florida, and I think Texas, are winner take all. Maybe not Texas. Winner take all. So if Trump can just keep this going for another month, I think, he'll have it sewed up. If he gets in, then you got Bloomberg jumping in.
Oh, well, yeah.
And he could take enough votes. He'll think he's stepping in to save the country from Trump, when in fact he could give the election to Trump.
Jeez. I hope that don't happen.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? I mean, my God, I've been saying for years we fell down the rabbit hole, but this is something even Lewis Carroll couldn't make up. Okay. I don't know either. That's exactly you, me, and everybody else. Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Well, there's somebody who agrees with the Wall Street Journal. There's pretty much, he's definitely, I bet he can't believe it. I bet somewhere, I wonder if he sleeps anymore. I bet he, like, just when he finally goes, lies down, there's nobody, what might be going on in his head? Jesus Christ, I can win this thing! Henry writes, Lynn, I say this every 4 years, but the primary process is ridiculous at times. Over the weekend, the Democrats had a primary in Nevada and the Republicans did not. And in South Carolina, it was the reverse. Why wouldn't they just vote on the one? I wonder the same thing, because it costs more money to get the polling places done, to have poll. It just seems crazy. I agree with you. I don't get it. And superdelegates take the power away from the people who came up with that idea. Well, it was the establishment of the Democratic Party, as I told you, after the throttling of George McGovern, the people's candidate. And they said, well, this democracy thing is, we can't let the people have the last word here. Strange for a party that calls itself the Democratic Party. It doesn't quite believe in democracy. So they made super delegates who can say to the voters, I don't care if you say I'm supposed to vote for this one, I'm voting for that one. Because you're idiots. Okay, and Henry says this, if you had to pick 4 states that are less like the other 46, it would be Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, and Nevada. You don't think they're representative of America? No. He says, so why do we allow these 4 states to go first and essentially narrow the field? For the rest, I don't know. And that's why every 4 years, you have these calls for a national primary. Why can't everybody get into this? Although there's some benefit to having it play out over a period so you get to know these guys a little bit better. And they do shake out. But it is true. The voters of those states, those early states, have a ridiculous amount of power that you and I do not have. I don't know. I mean, that's why you now have this Super Tuesday. There is an effort to pull more states in. But so Super Tuesday can be the time when it's over. And that's before we in Pennsylvania even have our primary. So it's over before they get to us. And P.S., don't you think a Clinton-Sanders ticket would beat the pants off Trump in November? I don't know. I have to tell you, I don't know. I don't think Sanders is a good person to have as Veep. First of all, he's too old. You don't pick an old guy to be the vice president, I don't think. And I don't think he could run with her. I don't know. I don't think she'd pick him. Dorothea writes, speaking as the God-fearing Baptist my mama raised me to be, I find it absolutely comical that Donald Trump is so apparently strong in these Bible Belt states. Well, let me remind you, the Bible Belt states have the highest divorce rate, highest murder rates. I mean, they come out, not looking good in any time you start sort of measuring things, quantifying things. Yeah, it's comical. It is. They don't care. Something is trumping their faith. And it's, however they look at that comical character, and they see, not what I'm seeing or you're seeing, they see a strong man who tells it like it is. And they see a successful man. They believe that you can't be as rich and powerful as he is if he's not smart and capable. they believe the crap he's peddling. Boy, are we learning a lot about psychology, huh? This is something. Dorothea says, you've heard of a rhino, Republican in name only? Trump is a Christian in name only. Well, so are a lot of people, Dorothea. I mean, yeah, I don't think he's a religious man at all. You can throw Cruz into that conversation, too. Okay, well, here's something interesting. So it's Cruz Rubio now. And another fascinating piece, I thought, in the Sunday Times was Frank Bruni's piece comparing Cruz. Now, we've already compared Trump and the Pope, but comparing Cruz and Rubio. And what comes out of that is fascinating, too. First of all, that the two people who the Republicans have to choose from, in all likelihood, if they don't want Trump, these two are essentially the same person. Except one has a smile. If you look at their position papers, at where they stand on you name it, they are absolutely hand in glove. Cruz and Rubio. What's fascinating is Rubio has somehow managed, because of, again, of our awful media, because he's smiling, he comes across better than Cruz. And also, he's called by the media a moderate. They say he's moderate, whereas, Cruz is like a right-wing radical. Then you look at their positions on things, and they're exactly the same. So how come one's a moderate? The moderate's the one who smiles and looks like a nice kid. The scary one, who never smiles and acts like the world's about to come to an end, that's the radical. But the fact is listen to this. They are both senators, first-term senators from southern states. They are both Cuban American. They are both lawyers. Believe it or not, they are the same age. Isn't that startling? Every time I say that to somebody, I get a look like, what? They are 5 months apart in age. Even though Rubio looks like that sweet kid, I always say he looks like a bar mitzvah boy. He looks like this sweet kid, and Cruz looks like the devil incarnate and an older guy. They're the same age. 2 first-term Southern Republican Tea Party senators, Cuban American, same age, and the same politics, although the media is telling us that one is like way off to the right, and the other one is mainstream, is moderate. Bull. Both of them are staunchly opposed to any gun safety measures, staunchly opposed to abortion rights, staunchly opposed to Obamacare, and will eradicate it the minute they get in. Both of them are calling for sweeping tax cuts. Both of them are calling for the abolition of the Department of Education. Both of them are calling for an end to environmental regulations. They're the same guy. It's just one is pleasant looking, and that means a lot. And the other can't smile without looking like he's trying to pass a kidney stone. So So Rubio is taking a line, he's channeling Ronald Reagan's, it's morning in America. He's trying to be the more optimistic. And that usually is a good thing. That works. Cruz, here's an opening line from Cruz at a rally in Charleston. I wake up scared every day. So it looks at this point like, well, first of all, Rubio's got the backing of the establishment because they just hate. It's amazing. I've never seen a politician hated like Cruz is hated by these guys. Anyway, I just don't want any of us falling for this. Rubio is a sweet little mainstream kind of Republican. He is not. He is Tea Party to the core. And he's definitely the more dangerous one. I'm voting for, I'm rooting for Trump now. I am. I don't think, I can't imagine any Democrat who wouldn't be. And not just because I think Hillary can beat him, I think she can, but because I think Rubio, with his cute little face and compelling little story, if he doesn't go all, robo all the time, is a more formidable just by virtue of the, as they say, optics of his campaign and persona. Oh my God, it's unbelievable. Historians will be parsing this year for generations. And we're living in it. Isn't that fun? Really? This is going to be one of those, political science classes, history classes. This is going to be a doozy. We're living in a doozy right now. Usually you can't quite tell when you're in the middle of something. This one's hard to ignore. Has there been any, Tim wants to know, has there been any speculation on potential running mates for Trump? Sarah Palin? No. She was right out there right away, wasn't she? That was his first big endorsement. I don't know. Oh, dear. It is something. Whenever I stop getting, if I just sit for a second, it's like, how you can talk about death and not, have your blood run cold. You can even talk about your own death. Oh, yes, I'm planning my own funeral now. And, blah, 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 blah. And you sort of have this thing that you don't quite, and then sometimes you'll think about death, your death, and it hits you like right in the gut. And you become almost unglued with terror. Well, I feel like that's what's happening now with this whole election thing. Most of the time, I'm talking about it. Most of the time, I'm, even can laugh and this and that and blah, blah, blah. But when I sit quietly and I actually think of Trump and potentially getting, and what our politics have come to and what we've come to, I have to admit I get that same sort of blood runs cold, that we're heading in to some dangerous territory. When I said it's a populist moment in history, not just in the United States, but all over the world, I have a case in point that we have a caller. Hang on. We do not have a caller. However, as soon as I start trying to tell you about this thing, they will call back, okay? Because that's the way it works on this show. This, too, I got from today's New York Times. It's the kind of story most people wouldn't read. It's about a little town called Crickhowell in Wales. Crickhowell, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, probably not, It's a little town. It's got 2,000, how many people in it? Just like 2,063, to be exact. 2,063. And there's a picture here, and it just looks, picture perfect is what it looks like. It's got cobblestone streets, and it's got a bookstore and a bakery and a coffee shop and a salmon smokery, and it just is adorable. One thing you will not find there is a Starbucks or anything that is any way a chain, because the people who live in Krakow don't want to have anything to do with those big, big guys. And here's why. All you got to do is talk to the guy who owns the coffee shop. His name's Steve Lewis. He owns the number 18 Cafe. And he pays the UK 21% corporate tax. And on his little coffee shop, that amounted last year to he had to pay $45,000. I'm not giving you the pounds. $45,000 to the British government in taxes. Now, I'm going to tell you what Facebook paid in taxes to the British government in the same year. They paid $6,000. Excuse me? I don't know about you, but my guess is Facebook brought in a lot more than his little coffee shop. He paid, what, 8 times more than Facebook. And, you can go on down the list of all these big, big companies paying nothing. Nothing. And this little town with all its little businesses, they are so enraged. This is the kind of thing that's going on all over the world. The deck is stacked. The game is rigged. This is what Donald Trump is telling people. This is what Bernie Sanders is telling people. And they're not lying to us. They're telling people what people know. And people are pissed off. I can't believe how long it took them to get pissed off. And I always said, when the American people wake up and finally are willing to look at how this game gets played at their expense, there's going to be a revolution. My fear has always been exactly what seems to be playing out, which is it will be a populist revolution, but the right-wingers are going to have more oomph than anything happening on the left. Although, if the Democratic Party was actually democratic, maybe Bernie would have a shot, but I don't think so. So, the reality is all of these huge multinational, global, capitalist, we win, you lose corporations, that they spend unbelievable amounts of money figuring out how to not pay any taxes. So who picks up the bill? The little guy at the salmon smokery. And the little guy with a bookstore. And that's true in Wales, and that's true in Pittsburgh. And that's just the way it is. So, hang on here. Just want to see what. Okay. So now I am going to change the topic a bit. I have a caller, maybe. Hello?
Hey, Lynn, how you doing?
Fine.
I want to tell you a quick story about my father.
Okay.
My father is an elderly man. He's 71 years old, white hair, white man, Anglo-Saxon. He looks like the poster of what a Republican voter would be, except he's a liberal.
Okay.
He's a very quiet liberal. He's in business with a lot of people who are, right-wing business-type people. So he says, I always keep my mouth shut because I want to hear what they have to say.
Yeah.
And they assume that he's on the same team.
Right.
And he always tells me that these are people who are the more educated right-wing types. Whenever they discuss politics, even them, all they do is just repeat the same slogans. And the point of the story is, you brought up that you've always feared that the backlash against this corruption was going to end up in populism. Well, one of the things the right wing has been so good at doing is basically been indoctrinating the people with all of these right-wing slogans. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And you have to give them a lot of credit. They're really good at their messaging.
Yes.
And they get in there and they say the same stupid stuff over and over again, and you have the situation that we have going on.
I know.
And can I make a comment about Marco Rubio?
Sure.
I was on his website once a little while ago. I was stunned by how hardline his position on abortion was. And that's another example of how extreme this party has gone, because it used to be some of the Republicans would say, oh, well, in the case of rape, okay, abortion might be okay. Now they're saying, even in the case of rape, they're against abortion.
That's right.
So that's stunning to me to see that evolution over the course of time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they've been pulled so far to the right by the Tea Party had a lot to do with it. And the Tea Party are the same people who elected these two new senators, Cruz and Rubio, and a whole bunch of others, and a whole bunch in the House, which is why our Congress is totally dysfunctional now.
Right.
Dear God. Well, tell your... I know. My parents would do the same thing. Everyone around them are Republicans, and they just sort of hold their fire rather than... Otherwise, they wouldn't have any friends. Right.
Exactly. And he also says the racist emails that get forwarded around are stunning.
Really?
Sickening. That don't get reported on.
Yeah.
And people seem to take whatever they read on the internet as being the truth.
Yeah. I know.
Anyway.
The thing is, thank you for the call. People believe what they... We're in a different time now. Anything you want, we know this, anything you want validated. If you want to believe something, you got a home, you got a family. It's all right there on your screen, on your phone. There are people who absolutely agree with you, and there are people who not only agree with you, but they're experts. Anybody can be an expert, too. Hello, caller.
Hey, Lynn, thanks for taking my call today.
Oh, yeah, sure. Like I never would not take your call.
I'm so busy.
Yeah.
But, I've got... My concern with Rubio is that I honestly I don't think I've ever seen the media pop up anyone as much as I've seen them try to pop up Marco Rubio.
What do you think that's about?
I don't know. I see this... Look, granted, I don't share... I'm 180 degrees away from him politically. But, I see this guy on stage in debates, or I hear him speak, and I'm thinking, he's utterly mediocre.
Mm-hmm.
I never think of him as some sort of first-tier candidate for the presidency. But then again, this is coming from someone who was just stunned at the election of George W. Bush, whom
exactly.
I thought it was just...
I know, unthinkable.
Utter complicity in terms of the Beltway media in promoting someone who, quite frankly, was kind of a lackwit and just going after Al Gore relentlessly.
It's true. It's all true.
But when I look at, and then I look at my other concern is with Clinton and Sanders, and I have a lot of problems with Hillary Clinton, a lot. Some of the associations, like with
Join the crowd.
Yeah,
there's some sleazy. There's always sleazy hangers-on with them.
Yeah,
it's
and
true.
The email thing is, there's nothing there. I mean, look, Colin Powell did it.
Yeah.
Condoleezza Rice did it. But come on, she should have known it would be an issue when she did it.
I know.
But
drives you nuts.
And it does show a sense of entitlement. But put that aside, there's no path to the nomination for Sanders now. There's none.
No.
It doesn't exist.
No, I agree.
And
she's what's standing between us and total God no, I can't even begin to.
And what gets me is that I see a lot of the comments by people who are supporters of his, and they're just, one, I don't think they're going to accept reality, and two, they're just vicious. They're as vicious as the most staunch right-wingers in going after Hillary Clinton. They'll dredge up these ridiculous debunked rumors about, Mina Airport drug smuggling and Vince Foster. And
well, I mean, this is the baggage. This is the baggage that comes with the Clintons. It's the and they'll always, and there'll be a whole new steamer trunk before it's over of stuff. But my God, she's all now that stands between us and either President Trump or President Rubio.
Yeah.
Dear God in heaven.
But like I said, when I see Rubio, I'm like, this guy ain't ready. This guy would really be a tool. And I don't mean that.
I agree.
Just a pejorative, ad hominem sense. I mean,
he's a boy.
He'd be an absolute tool for the people who would run him.
Well, just like Dick Cheney. Excuse me, just like Dick Cheney ran W.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it'd be even worse though, because I think in his second term, W grew a bit of a spine. I think he just got tired of what had befallen him and I guess the Bush family name due to Cheney. But and you saw that with some things like refusing to pardon Scooter Libby. But
yes,
with Rubio, Chris Christie was right. He's the bully in the bubble.
And Christie thought he'd taken him down, and I thought he'd taken him down, and but Christie did show that there was no there.
Nothing.
And that'll come back. I mean, it's I don't know. It's scary. It's scary.
I had never seen anything like that. Never.
No.
Christie mocks him for it.
And he did it again.
He went the same again.
That's unbelievable.
Then again.
Unbelievable.
5 times.
I know, it's scary. It was like a total brain freeze or something. I don't know what the hell it was, but it said something about who he is.
And then later he did it in front of a crowd of supporters.
I know. I don't know, but you have to admit you never seen any election like this one.
We have not, and like you, I'm like, well, if it had to be one of the three, I'd go with Trump.
Right.
Because honestly, first of all, my theory is that he started this out as a goof.
Yes.
And he was like trolling them.
Yes.
And then he just kind of realized, hey, I can actually
do this.
these dopes might actually elect me. And the other thing I'm going to love him for, okay, part of me is always going to love him for this. He called out this bullshit
about money,
mythology about George W. Bush kept us
safe. That's right. He did, and he did. He also called it out on. Hey, sure, I gave money to the Clintons. They were in power. That's what do you think?
Remember when Rand Paul tried that on? He's like, I gave money to you too, Rand. Remember that?
Yeah,
that
right.
Was beautiful.
No, really.
That was the finish for Rand Paul right there.
Right. He's taken down one after the other.
But the thing with the calling out Jeb's bullshit.
Yeah, wonderful.
Was that I'm thinking, yeah, he kept us safe except for the anthrax attacks and the Beltway snipers and Danny Pearl being kidnapped and beheaded, and the 4 contractors in Iraq, and, destabilizing the Middle East needlessly, and also, the 13 embassy and consulate attacks, and also the homegrown jihadist who drove a van into a crowd that one time, and the other one who shot up a mall. Oh, and that one time, that thing that we don't really talk about that he gets a do-over for.
Yeah.
I'm like, and the reason I love that is because you have the former caller talking about how the right is great at messaging.
Yeah.
They're also great at revising history and creating mythology.
Well, that's exactly, but that's part of it. That's it. They're brilliant.
Like the mythology with Ronald Reagan, with this, he wouldn't deal with terrorists. Hello?
What do you
mean? I seem to remember him providing arms.
What do you mean? What was Iran-Contra? What was Iran-Contra? Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ronald Reagan never let Iran detain 4 servicemen. He'd never hold them hostage for a minute. I'm like,
well, look.
You want to think about that again. Well, he'd handle an expansionist Russia. He'd show them. I'm like, really? What happened when they shot down the airliner that had an American congressman and American school children on it, where he actually was upset, according to his age, that his vacation was interrupted, and he took him 3 days to come back and give a speech condemning their action and did nothing else. And like, they literally revise history on the fly. And you can't let them do that with this George W. Bush kept us safe bullshit.
Well, right, and history will not either. Hey, I gotta run. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Jeez, I want to get this one thing in before my time is up. So, I didn't even hear about this Kalamazoo thing till late yesterday, I guess. That's how out of it I am, because it wasn't, I guess, in the papers yet. I don't know. I was just out of it. And I guess the thing about this is our latest insane kind of shooting, that am I no. Yes. We have a call. Hello.
Hey, Lynn, it's Mike from D.C.
Hi, Mike.
I want to get on the record again that I'm the one that's saying it's going to be Rubio. And what I don't get is why you or lots of people don't get how the system works. The reason the media is favoring Rubio, even though he's the same as Cruz, is because he's the candidate that the GOP wants to run.
Are you suggesting that media are in the pocket of the Republican Party?
Yeah.
Oh.
Fox News, they say one thing in the morning, and then in the afternoon they say people have reported, and then meaning themselves, and then the Wall Street Journal picks it up, and then Washington Post feels that they have to address the issue. It's one big snowball, and not to say they're bad people, but everybody wants their job to be easier. And it's easier when you just report on the soundbite than do digging, as you know.
Well, yeah, but
I
know, but this year is different in that people hate the media. People hate all of these people who are telling them what to do or what to say. I don't know. And I still see...
What does the establishment mean, though? If the establishment doesn't mean that they have power, and this is why I think it's going to be Rubio.
Well, it's
then
okay.
If they really don't have power, then I'm surprised.
It sure, look, if they had the power we thought they had, it would not have come to where it is today. It's been out of their control. They've been trying to, we're watching a frantic effort right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
No one thought, they're so isolated, they're so sure of their own power, they didn't think for a minute. None of us thought that this clown could get this far. And shows how much we know. The people seem to be in charge right now a little bit more on the Republican side. They're mad as hell.
And that's why they have to tiptoe so closely around Trump.
That's
because
right.
If they didn't, then they'll alienate all those
That's
people.
Right. That's why they're afraid to really take him on. And
But
did you
don't
see
confuse
there's this?
tiptoeing. I'm sorry.
Oh, there was this PAC. TB Ameritrade, whatever that Ameritrade thing is. The people who own that have been putting millions and millions and millions of dollars into anti-Trump ads that they're putting up all over the place because no campaign wants to do it. Their pals in the establishment, their rich friends, are going to be doing it. And Trump tweeted just this morning, I saw it, hey, I see that, and he has the family name, are putting millions of, to take me down. They better watch out, because I know things about them. That's all it said. And don't think he will do anything. I just think it's fascinating to watch this guy. He's a bully, and it's working.
But don't confuse tiptoeing with acquiescence.
All right, okay.
They may be tiptoeing around this guy, but
I agree.
The power is never going to say, "Here, Donald, you take it."
I know.
You won fair and square.
I know.
That's what we're all saying. If you don't believe that the power is going to say, "You win fair and square," come on.
Listen,
you really think the Republican Party is going to do that?
Okay, I'm with you in that it's either Rubio or Trump. Are we going to agree on that?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
but it's going to be Rubio because the power never fairly says, "Oh yeah, sure, you take some power." There's even a famous quote about that: "Power once taken is never given away," or something. They're never going to say, "Oh, Trump, sure, let's give him a try." And this is good for Hillary. Every $1 million they spend to get rid of Trump is $1 million less for Hillary.
Well, let me tell you. They have millions upon millions. It doesn't even matter. If there's one thing the establishment has, it's money. It's money. Oh, God. You know what we haven't heard from this year is that Sheldon Adelson and those creeps. Where's his money going?
Well, I thought
it'll go to Rubio.
Wasn't he Rubio?
Yeah, it'll go to Rubio. It'll all go to Rubio.
Right,
except for
go to Rubio. And the reason, and this is the really sad part, and really the cynical part of the Republican Party, is that we pick a black guy, so they're going to go with the Latino.
Sure.
We've had a woman nominee, they picked a woman vice president.
Yeah.
They think this is about like picking a PR person. They don't get that this is more. This isn't just how the person looks or what their ethnic background is, because they think we're cynical, and the only reason we're going to pick a Hispanic vice president is because he's Hispanic, which is probably true. But
no, I don't know.
You don't think it's going to be a Hispanic vice president?
Yeah. No, I think it's pretty well. Yeah, it's pretty well known that Hillary is going to, I think, go with one of those Castro guys.
Right. So this is their cynical play to say, fine.
Yeah. I know.
We got a black guy. See our black guy?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, dear God. All right, Mike. I hope you're wrong. I hope you're wrong, because I want Trump.
I want Trump, too. It'd be easier for Trump, but it's going to be Rubio. Otherwise, the power doesn't have the power. Well,
it might be. We'll see.
Okay.
Bye.
See ya.
Okay, now I have 1 minute to say what I wanted to say. Oh, God, my voice went. The Kalamazoo thing. This makes 3 that I can think of right now, and that is when there's a mass shooting and the guy gets caught and the guy is white, the cops never kill him. This guy slaughtered, how many, 6, 7 people? If that were a black guy, excuse me, would he be taken alive? Huh? The SOB who walked into that black Charleston church and blew all those wonderful people away. Taken alive. The lunatic who went into that Planned Parenthood in, I forget where, Phoenix or something. He somehow gets out of that. very difficult situation alive. Whereas unarmed, innocent black men are regularly blown away. Anybody seeing that, or is that just me? All right, there. Thank you very much. I'll be back tomorrow. Have a great day.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.